Mama Grizzly Radio presents a special encore broadcast. Republican for President Donald J. Trump on the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla. Here's Kevin.
Donald Trump needs no introduction, but we'll give him one anyway. He is a businessman extraordinaire, popular television personality, best-selling author, and now candidate for the Republican nomination for President of the United States. We welcome Donald Trump to Mama Grizzly Radio. Mr. Trump, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the Palin Update.
Thank you.
You know, one thing I've noticed here in the campaign for president is people attacking you and attacking your character, and it's always from people usually who've never met you. And I like to say you're being Palined in this regard, you know, people who don't know you at all, yet are going after your character. And I, just speaking for myself, I've had just a couple of run-ins with you over my life, both as a young man and as a child. One, I got to tell people, cards on the table, my first pro football game was not an NFL game. It was a USFL game in New Jersey. The Generals, your Generals, taking on the Michigan Panthers, a pouring rainstorm in the early 80s. And what did Mr. Trump do for us staying through that rainstorm? You moved us down to about the second row, and it was unbelievable. I'll never forget it.
That's great. That's great.
And so when I hear these things, I compare it to Governor Palin. People are going after you, but have never really met you and are just doing it because they're trying to serve their own purpose. Another time at Baltusrol Golf Course, I used to live right in back of the place, and we were young kids, maybe just out of high school, going into college, and you met us there, one of the few guys who actually had a cell phone then. We all didn't. And you said hello to us, and you invited us into your son, I believe, had a tent at the time. And I just want to thank you for that about 20-something years later.
Oh, that's very good. That's an honor. Well, you know, one of the reasons I have such respect for Sarah, first of all, she's a great person. And Todd and the whole family, these are great people. And one of the things I most admire about her is that she took so much nonsense, lies and disgusting lies, and she handles it so well. She's tough and smart and just a great woman. So it's an honor to be with you today. I must tell you that, Kevin.
Well, you've had some meetings with Governor Palin. I know when she did her monument tour through America, I think you sat down for pizza in New York City. You mentioned some of your thoughts on her. What else do you think about her as far as her leadership when she was governor? And if there is a Trump administration, could you see maybe picking up the phone, giving the governor a call, picking her brain on some things, or perhaps having her along in some official capacity?
I mean, I'd love that because she really is somebody that knows what's happening, and she's a special person. She's really a special person, and I think people know that, and she's got a following that's unbelievable. I still have people saying, oh, get Sarah's support, no matter where I go. Everybody loves her, and she's got a tremendous fan. Now, she has, like me, she's got some people that don't exactly love us, and we understand who they are, and you sort of forget about that. But she has a tremendously loyal group of people out there for her, and I think now maybe more so than ever. You know, I'm looking at some of these candidates. They're weak, they're ineffective, and, you know, to a degree that's actually almost hard to believe. And, you know, they like the Sarah Palin kind of strength. You just don't see very much of it anymore.
Another thing you both have in common, and this I know I was excited about when I heard you would be running for president, and you're certainly living up to this, and I told people this when you first announced your candidacy officially. I said, he's going to call out not just Obama, not just Hillary, but also Jeb Bush, also John McCain, also Lindsey Graham, those who aren't doing their job. It doesn't matter about party. It matters about what are you doing for the American people, or in a lot of these cases, not doing, and you're not afraid to call it as it is. You're not bowing down to pressure, people telling you, you must apologize, you must do this. You're going to do what you want, and the voters can decide.
That's right. They're not doing their job. I mean, you look at what's happening with the veterans. The veterans are being treated like third-class citizens. It's horrible what's going on, and John McCain is so involved with the veterans, but nothing happens, you know, because they're politicians ultimately. And, you know, my definition of most politicians are all talk, no action. Nothing's happening. And then, you know, it's interesting because I know the same thing would happen to Sarah a lot when somebody attacks me viciously. You know, they call me names, horrible names. Then I attack them. They don't report what the other people said. So it looks like I'm just, you know, out of nowhere making things up about like a Lindsey Graham or this character Rick Perry. That's another beauty. All of a sudden he attacks. And, you know, you attack back and you say something very rational, but they don't show that you weren't the one that started. So, I've always felt that when you get attacked, you have to say something at least. And when you say it, it would be nice if they could have the other side of the story, too. But, these are the problems. The press is extremely dishonest, the media, the political media. I've always had good luck with the financial media. Maybe it's simpler because it's numbers. But the political media is amazingly dishonest. I'm so surprised to see it, actually.
Well, someone who did defend you and did deal with the facts here, a friend of this show, a former guest, and a Mama Grizzly herself, is Cheryl Atkinson, who did put out an article and showed the comments that you made pre and post the part of the McCain comments that were put out there by the mainstream media. When you announced your run for the White House, Mr. Trump, a lot of people on the Twitter sphere and everywhere else, they talked about you and bashed your campaign right away, tried to belittle you and marginalize you. And I sat back and I said, wait a minute, this is a guy who's had success everywhere he's gone, everything he's touched in the business world. Yet when a community organizer who's never had a job ran for president, they thought that was just fine, but they look at your campaign as a stunt. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think they're not thinking so much. First they were saying clown, and now they're saying, well, I don't hear that word too much anymore because the last poll was 24% compared to like half of that number. And it's been pretty strong up there in terms of pollosphere. And it's actually been sort of amazing. A poll just came out of Nevada where I'm way up over everybody and way up with the Hispanics. And I've always said I'm going to win the Hispanics because I'm going to be able to create jobs I'll take them from China, I'll take them from all over the place, and nobody else is going to be, including Hillary. Nobody's going to be able to do that. So a poll just came out, and I was way up. I think I'm 28% or something, and way up in the Hispanics win it by a lot. So I'm not actually that surprised, but a lot of people were very surprised to see it. But, they see how I'm doing, and it does change things. But you also become more of a target. I noticed that also.
Your campaign slogan, Make America Great Again, I think it really speaks to a lot of people. It's powerful and it's hopeful. It's a message that we're not getting from people in Washington. How do we do it overall, and what are our biggest threats? Because if you listen to some people, we're told that climate change is the biggest thing that is affecting us right now, not a little thing called ISIS, perhaps.
Yeah, no, ISIS is a big problem, and nuclear is a big problem because the power of the weapons, that's going to be your climate change if we're not careful. That there's, the real climate change is going to be nuclear climate change if we're not smart and tough and very, very careful, because that's a big danger, and that's a real danger. And, I think Obama just said that the biggest threat we have on the planet today is climate change. And a lot of people are saying, did he really say that? We have people chopping off heads, and he's talking about climate change. And it's just, I call it weather. The weather changes. You look back, and they were calling it global cooling and global warming and global everything. But you look back, and the biggest tornadoes were in the 1890s. The biggest hurricanes were in the 1860s and 1870s. And it's weather, and you're going to have bad weather. And so often I'll watch the evening newscasts, and every time there's a rainstorm someplace, and then they wonder why they don't do well. They say it's raining here, it's raining there, and usually leading the program. And I call it weather. And maybe there's a little bit of change. I don't happen to believe it's man-made. And you know what? If it is, you're going to have to start working on China because they're polluting the air more than anybody. And, we're going to hurt our factories. We're going to hurt everything, and they're not doing anything to address it. So before we start, wrecking and just wreaking havoc on what we have, they better start talking to the folks over in China, because you talk about if there is such a thing, wait till you see. I mean, take a look at the pollution that they're spewing into the air, unabated. Yeah,
I was always taught it was weather, too, including at that day at your Generals game when it was pouring on us for hours, and my grandfather let me sit in it. Anyway, so, a name that's been brought up lately with your run has been Ronald Reagan. They say a lot of people said some of the same things about Reagan at the time, who came from a different position as an actor and jumped into the fray in politics and wound up, after a couple of tries winning. What do you think of those comparisons?
Well, I was friendly with him. I was very young, and he actually thought that he said to somebody, that's a very smart guy. That's a very smart guy. But I have pictures of him when I was very young in my 20s. And, I worked with him. I helped him with a campaign once, and not hugely, but I helped him a little bit, and as a young guy. And I was a big fan of Ronald Reagan. He had a great way about him. He had a great sense about him. You looked at him, you said, "There's our president," and he really had that whole presidential demeanor, better than people that we've seen since, certainly.
We had a horrible week a couple of weeks ago, the situation with Planned Parenthood coming out about selling baby parts. Of course, what happened in Chattanooga, and then the Iran deal with President Obama. Sarah Palin came out, spoke about all of these things. I know you have as well, yet some of these other candidates seem to just, try to look at polls and look at focus groups instead of speaking from the heart when it comes to these serious topics.
That's right, and I see it. I mean, I see it with Bush, where he couldn't give an answer on Iraq, and he went to the pollsters, I guess. It took him 5 days to come out with a simple answer on Iraq. Was it a good thing or a bad thing? And you see it. They all have pollsters. I have much more money than anybody else that's running by far, and I don't want to waste it on pollsters, because whatever it is, it is. You have to say what's in your heart, what's in your brain, and you have to be honest. I mean, these guys go back. They don't want to give an answer until they have it polled. And that's not government, in my opinion.
Early on, when the attack started against your campaign, Sarah Palin said you must be doing something right. I'm paraphrasing here, but because they're coming after you. And that's what they do, when they're scared of someone that's a real threat. And then more recently, she referred to you as a hero. High praise from the governor.
Well, I just can tell you, she's just an amazing woman, and honestly, she should be given, and she's given great credit, but she should be given even more credit, because she is somebody that people respect and admire, and she speaks for so many people. I don't even think she knows how important she is, okay? And maybe that's part of the beauty of Sarah Palin. But I just see it all over, and so many people revere her, and so I just think it's great. I think she's terrific.
We've seen so many people in Washington who are bought and sold. They go along to get along. You come in, people try to bash you for your success, try to bash you for your money, which is unbelievable. You would think in America this would be a great thing, the success that you've had, a true American success story. And I think that's one of your assets here. You don't need any help from special interest. You don't need to play ball with anyone. You're set in that department. You can come out and do what you feel is right to, as you say, make America great again. And I think that's the overall message going forward?
Well, it's right. It's make America great again. In fact, I copyrighted the phrase. You know, people started using the phrase. It was my phrase. I came up with it, and I had it copyrighted. And people see the kind of standing ovations. I get the biggest crowds and the biggest standing ovations by far. And all of a sudden, some of the other candidates started using the phrase, but I had it copyrighted, so they're not allowed to actually use it, which even surprises me. But anyway, it's a good phrase, and the word again is a key word in there, because right now this country's going down. It's going down badly and quickly. And Sarah understood that maybe earlier than most, but our country's going down, and we have to make it great again.
Well, Mr. Trump, you're giving a lot of people hope, and it's certainly been entertaining, and we are enjoying your message on the trail and watching you all the way. We're praying for you, rooting for you, and hope to talk to you again. And we thank you so much for joining us today.
That's really nice. And say hello to the whole Palin family. It's an amazing group of people, that I can tell you. I know numerous of them, and Todd is fantastic. And just give them all my regards, okay?
You got it, sir. Thanks again.
Okay. Thank you very much.
For more on Donald Trump and his run for the White House, head to DonaldJTrump.com. That's DonaldJTrump.com.
Thank you, Indiana. Thanks for all your hard work. To all of you who have believed in making a real difference in our politics and in the way things have been done in the past that have put America in a pretty precarious position. Thank you so much for supporting Trump and believing in this idea of being able to make America great again. We're finally on the road to do so, but we do have to unite first. So GOP and independents and smart Democrats, truly, it is time to come together, pull together. Remember that united, we will stand. Our country will stand united. Divided, we're going to fall. So now, after participating in some really healthy, kind of arduous competition, now more than ever, it's time to come together and put some differences aside, stand on principle. That principle that, yeah, we have opportunity to make America great again. We've needed a revolution, and we found our revolutionary. So thanks for all your hard work. Congratulations, Donald J. Trump. And here we go on the road to make America great again.
Visit MamaGrizzlyRadio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, and at Sarah_Steelman.
And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Tamara Colbert, and everyone at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Donald Trump and Governor Sarah Palin. And thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Narrowgate Security Agency. Visit narrowgate.com. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.